Hey, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us today to talk about one of our core products for many, many years now. It's HDMI switches. HDMI switches have been one of our most important products for many years, and the reason is because they're just so useful. Anytime you need to connect more than one source into a display, you could use an HDMI switch. Now, of course, your displays, your projectors might have many HDMI inputs, but you especially need a switch these days if that display, perhaps you only have a single wire running to that display, or perhaps your display only has one or two HDMI inputs. So for example, a projector on the ceiling maybe only has one or two HDMI inputs. Perhaps you need to send 4 HDMI sources into the projector. Perfect opportunity for a switch. Or what about if the display or projector has 4 HDMI inputs, yet you only have a single wire running to that display or projector? Yet again, another opportunity for a switch. And we're just packing these things full of useful connectivity to give you more advantages versus just using the local HDMI connections at the display or projector. And of course, just like anything, we break this down product by product, yet you really can build full systems with these switches being a crucial part of those systems. For example, the Pro Series switch is very big in the classroom applications. And as of late, there's been a big need to not just develop classrooms to be a localized presentation, but to actually make it a hybrid classroom where you could have students in class plus students participating online. And the switch is a big part of that. Selecting an HDMI source, as we see here, a desktop computer and a laptop, but also not only sending that to the screen, but also having a USB microphone speaker combo that is extended over a USB extender of ours, sending the HDMI signal a distance using an HDMI extender to the projector or smartboard, and having a control interface for that. And that's part of our Pro Series HDMI switch, having a app ready capability there. So let's continue on. Now, the HDMI switchers, we're going to break down into 2 series for you. There's our Pro Series switches and the Slim Series switches. We'll start with the Pro Series switches. Now, what makes it Pro? Okay, because the Pro and the Slim Series, they're going to have a foundation that is the same. They both support 4K resolution. The Pro and the Slim Series both support up to 18 gigabits per second. So that's, again, 4K, 444 chroma subsampling, HDR if you'd like. You could turn that on. And they also share a commonality of those essential troubleshooting tools, the EDID handshaking management and forced hot plug detection tools are both easily accessed in the Pro and the Slim series. But the Pro is about having the rack mounted form factor. So they're a single rack height and they're a half rack width. And very nice, we include a half rack ear plus a short rack ear, I should say, plus a half rack blank, so that you can mount them in the rack. We also do sell a coupler, so you can mount 2 units side by side easily and maximize that rack space if you're installing multiple of these in the same equipment rack. The Pro Series switcher also has audio de-embedding, IP controllability, and RS-232 controllability, as well as auto switching. Okay, so let's get into this first detail here. In fact, auto switching is a feature exclusive to the Pro Series. And you just flip that switch to the on position, and now your Pro Series switch will automatically jump to a newly connected signal, or even a newly disconnected signal will activate switching. So if I'm here at a conference table, and I connect an HDMI cable into my laptop port, the Pro Series switch will automatically select that source that's newly connected. And now if I'm done presenting, I could disconnect that HDMI cable and the switch will return to an active HDMI connection. And it looks for it in sequence. If you're on 2, for example, it'll go to 3, then to 4, back around to 1 as it searches for an active signal. And that's all based on hot plug detection voltage. Voltage that's carried over the HDMI cable, if you're not familiar with that, kind of tells the source and the display on each end of the cable that there's a live partner on the other end there as the devices are plugged in and turned on. Now, another pro feature is the remote button switching. So you could actually hardwire any kind of 2-wire button like that will basically, as you press the button, the voltage and the ground will short, and that will execute the switching at the switcher, and it will just look for it sequentially. Again, if it's on 2, it goes to 3, to 4, and that's how the button switching works there. And as I mentioned, there's 4. It's a lot of audio de-embed options there for you to choose from. There's 2 analog and 2 digital. Now, on these audio de-embed, there are no preamp features, okay? So there's no volume control, there's no EQ, there's no format conversion, from multi-channel surround formats down to 2-channel. It's just simply the audio of the selected source that comes out. And it has to be a compatible format. Take a look at the table in the bottom right corner. So for example, if you need 2-channel output on analog, then of course your HDMI source needs to be outputting 2-channel PCM. We have a 3.5 millimeter and a Phoenix adapter that can be used as balanced or unbalanced. And on digital, we have a PCM RCA, and we have a Toslink optical connection. So you have all of your options there. Whatever your sound system is, we can feed into that without any problem there for you. And if you need to tell your source, hey, give me 2-channel audio, then here's how you do it. You just turn that knob of the EDID control setting, and you can tell your connected HDMI sources exactly what to provide the switch video resolution wise and audio format wise. And what goes into the switch is what goes out to the connected display projector and what goes out on the analog or digital audio connection. So this is a really great way. If you have a 1080p projector, but you have a variety of sources, maybe some that could do 1080, some that can do 4K, then what you want to do is you want to set the EDID dial to perhaps that 4th position, where you'll be providing a handshake to the source that says, hey, I know you could do 4K, but just give me 1080p with 2-channel audio. And by turning that dial and setting it to the position number 4, 5, or 6, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a consistent handshake that's provided to the selected source so that it always thinks it's connected to a 1080p display. And it's very useful in the Pro AV world. We also have a really unique tool called forced hot plug detection. Now, I alluded to that a moment ago. We look here, the diagram of a laptop connected to a projector, for example. Now, imagine the projector is not on. Okay. The laptop, though, has the HDMI cable connected. In the HDMI world, your HDMI sources should not be outputting audio video signals on the HDMI unless their sync device, the display, is powered on, right? Now, that makes sense in a one-to-one connection, but what do you do when you have something like a switcher, extender, and an entire Pro AV system in between the source and the display? Well, a lot of products out there will allow the voltage hot plug detection to just work as though it's passing through. So until that projector turns on, even with the switch in the middle, the source knows it shouldn't be outputting signal. Yet when we force the hot plug detection, we basically put high voltage so that the source is constantly outputting audio video, and the display, the projector, is constantly seeing that it does have a live partner on the other end of the cable. It makes it's really a handy troubleshooting tool that has, resolved many issues in the field, because in digital video, there's many obstacles that you have to overcome. And that's why KeyDigital packs our products full of these troubleshooting tools. And it also increases or decreases, I should say, sync time a lot of the time. If the source already knows that it has a live partner, then that handshaking process and getting the picture on the screen can happen that much faster. Now, another pro feature is the USB service port, where you are able to configure your Pro switch using the KeyDigital management software. So this makes your setup process a lot easier than what it used to be. And you could do things like setting the input names. You could do things like telling it that it has a connected KeyDigital amplifier, so that we could then build these integrated systems. Now, this may look familiar to you from our presentation solutions. And if you haven't watched that video yet, go ahead and check it out. It's posted here in the KeyDigital University. And with the integrated systems here, this is all about delivering a system where you can have your HDMI selection, you could have an amplifier, you could have a microphone in if you need, and you don't have to do any programming at all. And you could have a user interface that's modern, built into a touchscreen that is an iOS device. It's really very powerful and very easy to leverage. And so what you do here, if you'd like to build one of those integrated systems, is simply you buy the Pro 2x1X or 4x1X, you buy the AMP 220, you set it up in the management software that says, yes, I do have an amplifier. It's just a simple checkbox. And now when you open your KeyDigital app, it will parse the switcher for information. Do you have an amplifier? It will see that, yes, it does. And now you'll see the user interface in the KeyDigital app has the volume control, has the mic mix level, for example. And those commands are sent over the network. Then the Pro switch will convert the incoming IP, output it on RS-232 so that it can control the AMP 220. And you just connect the transmit pin on the Pro 2x1X into the receive pin on the AMP 220 and ground to ground. It is one way. So you just need those two wires, transmit on the Pro 2x1X into receive on the AMP 220, ground to ground. And now you could select your source. By the way, on the UI, you're going to see the friendly names that you could provide. So you could say this is front of table, rear of table, rack computer, and Apple TV, for example. And now you can control the volume for your amplifier. And an additional thing that people commonly have is the cam USB. So you could have the amp and the camera, or perhaps just the camera itself. And it's the exact same principle. In the KeyDigital management software, I've told it, yes, I have a camera. And now in the free app, I can once again see the UI to control the camera, and it's there side by side with the source selection or pressing the tab for the audio. And again, I connect transmit on the Pro switch into the receive pin on the RS-232 port of the camera and ground to ground. And I can actually double stuff those wires. I can have transmit from the Pro feed both into both the camera and the amplifier, and those commands are discrete. The camera commands, they look different from the amplifier commands, so they're not going to be responding to each other's commands. So we see that this really delivers the entire need, essentially. You can, without any programming at all, you have a user interface that will switch to select your source with the friendly naming, as I mentioned just a moment ago. You'll be able to control your camera, PTZ, recalling presets. You'll be able to adjust your microphone mix level if you have a microphone, or If you don't have a microphone, there's a checkbox for that. And now you won't see any microphone volume control. So that's something that will be invisible and doesn't confuse the end user. There's speaker volume, right? And again, it does it all. The only thing essentially missing here that you do get the advantage of if you were to use one of our presentation solutions devices is we don't turn on the display or projector through this interface. So again, you could use our presentation solutions, which that's one of the benefits. The other benefit on presentation solutions is multi-format. So not just HDMI ins and outs, but you have HD-Base-T in and out. You have not just HDMI, you have USB-C, DisplayPort, VGA on some products. And so really, again, there's another video for that here in KeyDigital University for you to check out. Now, so you really see the Pro Series is a complete solution and could be used on its own, or it can be used with camera, amplifier, extenders to really build a very powerful system at a very good price point. But in some cases, you know, having that bulky switch that's made to be installed in a rack maybe isn't necessary. And sometimes folks just want the switch to be resting on or in a cabinet or an entertainment center, so to speak. And so we have the Slim Series HDMI switches that, again, I'm going to remind you what I said earlier. The foundation is the same between the Slim Series and the Pro Series. 4K, 18G, HDR, HDCP 2.2 or 2.3 now, I believe even. The full buffer with the EDID rotary and the hot plug detection, as you can see, okay? But control-wise, you have push button, you have IR. That's it, okay? We see the USB on the Slim Series. It's not for any kind of configuration of the unit. The USB is for factory, for us to use in the factory, for firmware updates and this kind of thing. It's not something that you'll be doing in the field. We also see less audio de-embed options, just one analog on 3.5 millimeter and one digital on Toslink optical, but that does make it ideal for those applications where you want to just feed right into a sound bar. For example, if you have a sound bar without HDMI, it's perfect for that. We've shown that application diagram earlier in this presentation. So how slim is the Slim Series? Well, when you take a look at the iPhone 11 Pro Max, that's 6.2, a little under 6.25 inches in height. That's what our Slim 4x1, KDS 4x1X, that's the width, the length, if you will, of the KDS 4x1X is 6.25 inches. And the S 2x1X is even smaller and only coming in just a little over 4.25 inches. They're just over an inch in height. So really, and 2.8 and 3.1 inches in depth. So very small form factor. But I will say this, we're not substituting metal for plastic here. These are made out of a heavy duty aluminum. And so they have some weight to them. And you even see the screw type connector. So it's still very much a professional product, just meeting that form factor that you may need. Here you go. Here's that application I was referring to before with the audio de-embedding, feeding into a sound bar, for example, a very popular application at this point in time. Again, that audio de-embed does not have any kind of volume control, 3-band EQ, or format conversion. So you use the EDID dial on the front of the unit to tell the sources what type of audio formats is needed to ensure that the audio can be de-embedded and fed into your audio system. Once again, the EDID control handshake, again, on the front of the unit there, gives you a full assortment of handshakes that'll just truly help to ensure that your AV system is 100% reliable as your customer selects through their sources. You're never going to have an incompatible video resolution or audio format for your video display or audio system, or if you're just using the display for audio. So there you have it. It really covers it all. Even hot plug detection is part of the Slim Series as well. And so again, we don't sacrifice what makes these products work. There's varying price points, various form factors, but all of them have that quality, performance, and reliability that only KeyDigital can deliver you. And we'd love to talk to you in greater depths about this. Simply reach out to our sales team, please. sales@keydigital.com is how you could email us. And once again, we thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
KeyDigital, the experts in digital audio, visual, and control.